this one is already moving ahead. A lot of companies are already developing, or countries are already developing. There's in UAE, in Saudi, in the UK, there's already the principles based, I believe, and in EU, there's the EU AI Act, which is risk based. So depending on the level of risk, then they will have their AI may be banned from being implemented. You know, in that EU AI Act bans the use of AI for facial recognition.
By now, most of you have friends who have been victims of hacking, who have suffered terribly. Many of you, in fact, probably feel really, really helpless and bewildered by what's happening in the world. Today, we have a great guest in Irene Corpuz, our second time guest here in the Leader's Edge, and would like to let her introduce herself to talk about cybersecurity and AI. Right?
Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here for the, in fact, third time. Yeah, thank you once again.
It's true.
It's
Yes,
the
it is the
third
third
time.
time.
Yeah. Okay, so Irene Pags, better known as Pags Corpus. I've been working in the UAE for more than 10 years, and so far, 10 years or more in cybersecurity, and working with the government entities in implementing information security standards and audit. And recently, I'm working on cyber policies, still for government entity in Dubai, to align the policies and ethics and governance to the strategy of the UAE. Yeah.
Wow. And this is a dream come true for our show and especially our viewers, because I remember we already got Colin to come back and Boogie to come back. But finally, finally, after
Thank
a
you.
long time, you're
Yeah,
here with us.
Yeah, it was three of us before.
So I'll start off with a question that was sent to the show by a friend who is also himself a cybersecurity expert. And he wants me to ask, how does AI and cybersecurity deal with, say, what in effect are the frontliners who must do the detection and initial triage?
Okay, so you're talking about the SOC or Security Operations Center, the tier one,
Yes, the tier
basically.
one people.
So the tier one are the frontliners. They are the ones reading all of these reports coming from the AI, from the tools, the incident tools like the SIEM. There are also the UEBA, and there are many other tools that we have in there. But most of these now are AI enabled. So what they do is that once the alerts come in, they will have to analyze whether these are false positives or real threats. And if there's a need to escalate this, then there comes the tier two SOC analyst who will do more on the forensics investigation. And higher level to the tier two is the tier three SOC who will do now threat intelligence, more detailed level of understanding of all of these attacks. So the tier one, the SOC analysts, they are the frontliners in a way.
Thank you so much, Pags. Now, for some of our viewers who might not be tracking with us because you're saying, oh, I'm not really a techie. The analogy is, what if there's a road accident? The EMT, emergency medical team, paramedics, if you will, they're like the tier one guys. They show up, bring the patient to the hospital, and then the specialist, that will be the tier two or the tier three, will do the forensics and the analysis and decide on a further course of
even
action.
operation or surgery if needed. No?
True. So we're so privileged because we're able to ask you all of these really deep questions concerning this particular industry. A question also that was asked of me to ask you is, now that cybersecurity is fairly commoditized, in other words, it's a bad idea for anybody to start a business and not engage a cybersecurity firm or an expert as part of their IT team. In other words, cybersecurity is a part of our lives now.
Yes.
How does AI affect say, the retention of talents among the tier one guys or the ones who write the program?
Just to mention, you said that cybersecurity is part of our lives now. I would say that no matter what we do to secure the organization, we will be attacked. It is not a matter of whether we will be attacked or not. Yes, everyone is possible, can be attacked possibly. The question is when. So it's no longer cybersecurity. For us, it's about cyber resilience. So how soon will you recover when you are attacked? Okay. So when it comes to the resources, not only the tier one SOC, no, in every level of operation, there has to be, the organization has to be aware that they need to train and retrain their employees to retain them. Some organization would say, oh, if we train them, it's very costly. Then they will leave.
Yeah.
And then the question is, what if you don't train them and they stay? Right? Okay. Now choose.
That's a bigger problem right there.
Now choose. You train them and then ask them to write an agreement. No? We'll spend this much for your training to upskill and reskill you, but you can stay for a certain number of years until we get the return of the investment and training. Okay. In terms of retention, that's one of the ways that we can retain our staff. Make sure that they are properly equipped with the most updated training. Get them involved in conferences, attend knowledge transfer through all of these conferences. These speakers, they can talk with vendors as well, look at what are the new technologies that are there in the market. And that way they know what is happening around, how the other entities and how the vendors are trying to develop tools to get them more secured. Because, in the end, even the tools are targets for attacks.
Right.
You're no longer safe. No one is safe anymore.
Oh my
You think
God.
I'm sitting in my computer monitoring the incidents so that I can take action when I see something alerting on my screen? That alert could be an alert that my tool is being attacked. So yeah. So always make sure that the employees, the staff are properly trained, aware, and well equipped.
A good analogy I'd like to share, and I don't know if this will resonate with you, is the gaming industry. Because there was a time that I worked for Pagcor as a consultant, and the casino manager told me, we are some of the most paranoid people on this planet because the casino manager watch the floor managers who watch the dealers who watch the players. So everybody's watching everyone else. So the key word here is trust. And a question that I have is now that AI has entered the picture and we realize that there is a cold war going on between black hat, white hat, and those who are on the bench, the gray hat guys. Who's leading?
No one can say one is above the other or one is ahead of the other. It's always a game of how can I outsmart you? Okay. For me, if I'm the defender, my objective is not to let you get in to my perimeter fence, but your game is, oh, Irene has done additional security. How can I penetrate that? So for us to defeat the hackers, we have to think like hackers. And for the hackers, they also do the same thing, or that's how they think. Then let's reverse engineering, no? Trying to go or one step ahead of the other. It's no one can say that they are ahead of the others. Okay. For security defenders, we say, oh, we're able to stop this much number of malware or this much of phishing attacks, etc. We have made our employees aware. But for the other side, they say, we have sold this much number of credit card information or for personal information in the black market, etc. So no one can say that. It depends on the impact or the extent of the damage that has been done by the perpetrators or the adversaries. And it also depends on how big was the fish that's caught by the defenders. No, so
You know, when I read publications in the cybersecurity industry, it reads almost like a James Bond script because of how hard the trackers work at finding the digital footprint that leads them to the bad actor.
mm,
Would I be off base if I say, for example, that the white hat guys
mm,
are not above, say, for example, working with a former black hat person to help them figure out what the black hat guys are doing?
and that has happened already. If you're aware or familiar with Kevin Mitnick, may his soul rest in peace.
Okay.
He was the most wanted hacker before in the U.S.
Oh.
He was when he was in high school. It's just like a hobby for him to play with the phones and how to, let's say, hack the phone so he can call the actors, the Hollywood actors and actresses. He got jailed. But
Okay.
eventually, when he went out of jail, he put up his own cybersecurity company. He became an advisor to the U.S., to the White House. So in a way, yes, that can happen. The black hat guys, they can change their perspective and work with the white hat guys.
So in some ways, there is room for reform.
Of course.
If they're caught, they can always switch sides.
Yeah,
First.
spend time in jail first.
Yeah, to pay for their crime.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and I'm sure you do, the I love you virus.
Yes,
A
yes.
Filipino wrote that. And
Mhm.
for all intents and purposes, I said, oh my gosh, he's going to spend time in jail now.
Mm.
But the last I heard, he found a job
Yes.
in if I'm not mistaken, the UK as a
Yeah, but he in here in the Philippines, first he was sought as an advisor first before he got
Went abroad.
hired
Yeah.
in other country. Yeah. So it's like you learn from your own mistakes before you figure out that you can make use of your talent in a better way. In our language, I always tell the students, no, the Filipinos, if I may say in our language, gamitin yung talino nyo sa kapakinabangan. I always say that. You have the talent, gamitin nyo sa kabutihan, sa kapakinabangan, no? More that you'll be proud of yourself, no?
Agreed. And because our topic today is about AI,
AI.
and cybersecurity,
Mhm.
how do you feel the world is reacting to AI? Are they embracing it? Are they afraid of it? I remember what Colin said, that out of 10 people, usually only 2 will immediately jump on it and leverage it
Mhm.
to pivot and become successful, to thrive. What trends are you seeing?
A lot of AI. We think me or a lot of people may think that AI is just coming around, no, but it has been there for a long time already. And maybe in the past 5 years, a lot of um, government entities and even in the EU, they're already looking at writing policies and guidelines and AI principles, ethics and principles and guidelines, to develop AI in a responsible way, what we call responsible AI development. These principles talks about trustworthy AI, but avoiding the bias in the AI, explainability, security, human-centered, even concerned about the result of using AI in the economy. So this one is already moving ahead. A lot of companies are already developing, or countries are already developing. There's in UAE, in Saudi, in the UK, there's already the principles based, I believe. And in EU, there's the EU AI Act, which is risk based. So depending on the level of risk, then they will have their AI may be banned from being implemented. In that EU AI Act bans the use of AI for facial recognition. Okay, so that EU AI Act, it's already almost out there, and once it is released, it will be enacted after 2 years, which means anyone who violates that may face very stringent fines and penalties. The same as the GDPR. When they released it, it was 2 years before implementing those fines and penalties. So when it comes to all of these policies and guidelines, etc., the world is becoming aware that there's a need for such, and each organization or company or and country, they're making sure that there's something that will be guiding those AI developers within their respective countries and within their respective regions.
I'm sure that our viewers, as well as myself, feel more assured because what you're talking about is a move towards federation, where organizations around the world realizing that there
Yes.
has to be
There has to be.
some kind of governing body
Yes.
that regulates the use, responsible use of
Yeah,
AI.
responsible AI. Yeah.
So that's where
This is the direction now. There, if you're going to look at Singapore, they already have it. Again, Saudi has it. UAE has it. UK, Americas, they have it. So we're moving there, and the same as the other, technology before. There's a hype. Once it's known, and then there's a hype, and then it becomes stagnant. It's already a hype in AI. There's a lot of tools already being deployed. Even the SOC, there are security operations. There's a lot of AI enabled tools already that's helping. So the point there is how we are going to educate as well, not only the users but also the developers. Yeah, through all through these regulations.
that is certainly a sense of hope in
Yeah.
that particular message.
Yeah.
We thank you for being our guest again in
Thank
our
you.
show. And how do people get in touch with you? Should they want to invite you maybe for a talk somewhere, or
Oh.
how do they reach you?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Irene Corpuz. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed what you heard today, and I hope you learned something from it, do leave some comments because our guests and our hosts really do enjoy reading them. And if you like what you just heard, doesn't hurt to just click on the like, share, and subscribe. And by the way, for our sister show called Tip Talks, where we analyze great speakers and speeches throughout history, guess what? Coming up next is an analysis of Marcos Sr.'s speech in the US Congress in 1967. And as one of our guests, analysts in that show, we will have Francis Romualdez, BBM's first cousin. So do look forward to that, and thank you once again. And as ever, please remember that learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day.